Congressman Diokno, please.
Thank you, Chair. Rule 9, Section 33 of the Rules of the House, as well as Section 9 of the Internal Rules, Committee on Public Accounts, provides that, I quote, a member of a committee shall not participate in committee deliberations or vote on any matter that directly or indirectly affects the member's business, financial, or pecuniary interest. These rules are in line with Section 9 of Republic Act 6713, Code of Conduct of Public Officials, which provide that a public official or employee shall avoid conflicts of interest at all times. These rules are also aligned with Article 6, Section 12 of our Constitution, which requires all members of the House to make a full disclosure of their business and financial interests to avoid conflict of interest. A few weeks ago, Mr. Chair, Senator Panfilo Lacson publicly stated that there were at least 67 members of the House of Representatives during the 19th Congress who were operating construction businesses that bagged projects that they themselves had allocated funding for. And I quote, noong 2022, pagsimulan ng new Congress noon, natanong ko ang isang kaibigan kong congressman kasi curious ako bagong bukas ang Kongreso. Ilan ba ako sa bilang mo, ilan ang contractor dyan sa batasan? Sabi niya, huling bilang ko sa ngayon 67, pero alam ko meron pang iba. So noon, 67 na as of 3 years ago. Siguro ngayon, ang iba, naengganyo, mag-contractor na lang tayo. O kaya, kamag-anak ang mag-handle ng kumpanya ng kanyang construction company para makamenos sila. Given this revelation, Mr. Chair, by Senator Lacson, I believe we need to assure the public that this investigation will not be a whitewash and that no members of the three committees conducting this investigation have a conflict of interest. I therefore move, Mr. Chair, that before we proceed any further this joint hearing, all the members of the Committees on Public Accounts, Public Works and Highways, and Good Government and Public Accountability make a full disclosure of their financial, business, or pecuniary interest that may be directly or indirectly affected by any investigation into the government's past or present flood control project. So move, Mr.
Mr. Chair,
Son.
before we motion, I'm actually motion of the Diokno. I'm intervention. The point of order raised by Representative. It is very clear in the Constitution, even in the rule, that there has to be disclosure of any possible conflict of any interest in business interest, financial interest of any member of this committee. But I am a more fundamental, if I may, something like it's prejudicial. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, dear colleagues. During the plenary session last August 145, which authorized the Committees on Public Accounts, Government and Public Accountability, and Public Works and Highway, conduct a joint inquiry into infrastructure projects, particularly flood control projects, was adopted over this representation. In a viva voce voting, the ayes prevailed. This representation now reiterates for the record, for opposition, plain terms, I object to the House itself investigating very significant and very sensitive. When the House of Representatives investigates anomalies in flood control projects, must ask, is it one? Is it good? Is it proper for this chamber to investigate when there are already reports that some members here are involved in this very project? By Representative Diokno, citing Lacson. I have raised this before, and I repeat today. Conflict of interest here is not theoretical. It is not distant. It is real, and it will shape how this inquiry is seen or perceived, especially by the public. Where one is most probably the subject of, or is likely and liable to be a suspect, or has a personal interest of not being punished himself, as an outcome of the investigation, not be part of the investigation. The most basic principle that in law school, we are asked to memorize the Latin maxim that embodies it. Nemo lex in causa qua. No one, a judge in their case. Let us be honest with ourselves. Imagine a whistleblower sitting here before this committee, holding back the truth as a very politician the panel. Imagine contractors swimming their testimony, careful not to offend a powerful member whose signature they need for the next project. Imagine colleagues whispering in hallways, cutting deals to shield one another, or stretching the process until the public grows tired and distracted. Hindi po ito haka-haka. Ito ang realidad sa ating lipunan. Conflict of interest happens the moment those who may be implicated are given the power to decide how far or how shallow an investigation should go. Even our Supreme Court has been clear. Lawyers here know the due process of justice requires partiality. Jurisprudence abounds on this legal principle. I do not have to mention those cases, but in one case, Mateo versus Villaluz, number L-1584, promulgated May 30, 1961, the Supreme Court reminded us that due process demands a, quote, hearing before an impartial and disinterested tribunal, end of quote, and the, quote, code neutrality of an impartial judge. Even judges and commissioners are disqualified for far less. How much more when legislators stand to be investigated for billions in flood control? Kung sa husgado hindi pinapayagan, bakit dito sa papayagan? Some will say, you can always assure fairness, transparency, and justice. You can always commit that this body will be partial. But will the people believe these assurances? When they already know, alam na alam ng taong bayan, that corruption in infrastructure has been rampant and blatant. Every Filipino has heard of ghost projects, of corruptions, kickbacks, of substandard work that crumbles as soon as the ribbon is cut. People have heard about the involvement of elected public officials, including members of Congress, both houses. Common knowledge, uncomfortable. The issue of anomalous flood control projects, some politicians reportedly act as contractors for their own government-funded infra projects or the ghost projects. A clear case of conflict of interest. Now, there are reports that Malacanang is preparing an executive order to create an independent commission to probe alleged flood control anomalies. Whether through such an EO or through a legislation, the point is clear. There are alternative paths that can give this investigation the credibility it needs. What matters is that the process stands above politics and earns the confidence of the people. Mr. Chair, I therefore register my continuing opposition to the holding of this joint hearing under House Resolution number 140. What is at stake here is greater than the reputation of any House member. It is the institutional integrity of the House. My colleagues, I say, let us earn the trust of the people by choosing a process whose credibility is beyond question. Investigation rises above politics and truly serves the ends of truth. Maraming salamat po.
Mr. Chairman, just an interjection from an older member of this House. I respect. Yes, Your Honor. Very important. I respect the opinion, the comments of our two members. But if we go back to the motion or the precedence of motions, the question that was raised or the point that was ordered by the Honorable Diokno is in the form of a point of order. So we did not entertain a motion. It is the chair who will rule that the point of order is in order or well taken or not. So I move that the chair will rule on the point of order.
We can discuss it first before making. Deputy Speaker Garin, please.
Mr. Chairman, with due respect to the Honorable Shell Diokno and of course Secretary Laila de Lima and my very good friend Sid Ungab. Yes, indeed, I saw the news report when Senator Ping Lacson mentioned that there are approximately 67 congressmen and more who are involved in projects. However, Mr. Chair, in the subsequent interviews that he gave, he mentioned that he cannot give names because it was one of the members of Congress who fed this information. I am not objecting to an investigation to uncover the 67 congressmen, if ever they exist. However, Mr. Chair, what I am worried is the fact that the oversight powers of Congress will be clipped in the guise of conflict of interest. Ang sa akin lang po, nirerespeto ko po ang sinasabi ni Congressman Shell Diokno at ni Congresswoman Laila de Lima. Subalit, itong mga nakarang araw, kung titingnan natin ang budget ng Department of Public Works and Highways, nagugulat ako. Kasi tila may pumasok sa NEP na mukhang hindi naman dumaan galing sa baba. There is a big possibility that the needed projects are changed to wanted projects. Ang want ay gusto pero walang benepisyo sa taong bayan. Ang need ay kailangan. And with the current budget deliberations and the oversight powers of Congress, it's time for us to uncover the process and the system. Bakit ba paulit-ulit ito na nangyayari? Let the investigation proceed, let the third-party investigation proceed to uncover the people behind this. But let us not forget that we cannot just sit and be taken out that we are the voice of our people and we need to correct the system. Kasi kung paulit-ulit ito na nangyayari, saan ba nagsisimula ang virus na ito? With that, Mr. Speaker, there was a point of order. I am not sure which section was violated. May I therefore ask for the ruling of the chair?
Mr. Chair, before.
Mr. Chair,
Deputy Majority.
Actually,
Abiang, please.
actually, as
not-
as I've
It's
understood,
not your turn, Congressman Rico. Deputy
Chair.
Majority Leader Adyong.
Yeah, thank you. Before we act on the motion of Representative, again, I also re-echo the sentiments of my colleagues here, respecting position of Congresswoman De Lima and Congressman Shell Diokno. I actually last week it was referenced by Congresswoman De Lima that the basis for this TRICOM to convene is the House resolution that we adopted, PS 145. Mr. Chair, let us compartmentalize the issue. Number one, Mr. Chair, the purpose of this committee is not to pass on judgment, culpability of those who are mentioned by whoever, no, by Senator Lacson. The purpose of this TRICOM, Mr. Chair, is to pass legislation, in aid of legislation, see whether there are lapses in the existing policies that we have insofar as the implementation of flood control programs are concerned. We are not here, Mr. Chair, to pass on judgment or to render the culpability of any individuals that may be mentioned or are already mentioned, Mr. Chair. And that is in line, Mr. Chair, also with our constitutional mandate, Mr. Chair, given to us that the Congress not only business to legislate laws, but also to exercise its oversight function. If there are concerns, Mr. Chair, that warrants public scrutiny in national interest, Mr. Chair, the Constitution has given us that power and mandate to untangle some of the mysteries. For example, if there are loopholes in the laws, so that we can come up, Mr. Chair, with a responsive legislation in order to correct this. And number two, Mr. Chair, if there are concerns of conflict of interest, which I agree, Mr. Chair, with the Congressman, we have our own internal disciplinary measure, Mr. Chair. If there are congressmen who may be implicated, Mr. Chair, we have our own rules, Mr. Chair, to govern, to discipline our own ranks, Mr. Chair. If there are, for example, issues of conflict of interest or directly involved in these ghost projects and substandard flood controls, let's refer that to the Committee on Ethics. We have our own internal disciplinary measures, but that should not preclude us, Mr. Chair, to exercise our constitutional given mandate, which is exercise our oversight functions and pass legislation that would correct the gaps and the loopholes in our existing laws, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, one more comment. In the precedence of motions, the point of order should be taken first. However, I do agree that indeed the gentleman and the lady has a point, and it can be taken immediately after as a question of privilege. In fact, it was already here included in the agenda. My question of privilege during the August 11 session, basahin ko na lang kasi related na rin eh. Binasa ko yung editorial, ang sabi, August 10 pa ito na newspaper, while the public is interested in finding out the extent of the corruption that President Marcos highlighted in his recent State of the Nation address, questions have been raised on the propriety and impartiality of lawmakers conducting an inquiry into anomalies that could implicate members of Congress. And the last sentence says, after his much uploaded job at the shameless, the last thing he should want is to be accused of protecting the shameless sacred cows and of complicity or a cover-up. I will be willing to discuss this when my time comes in item number 6 of item 5. I just, para lang for proper order and decorum, unahin mo na yung point of order, then we can raise a question of privilege since this affect the integrity and I would say the duties of the House of Representatives. I move that the chair first rule on the point of order.
Mr. Chair, before the ruling,
Please proceed.
my understanding is that Representative Diokno is not objecting to this investigation. He's just maybe prudence would require that all members of this committee participating in this proceeding should at least if they know that they have a conflict of interest, at least siguro po dapat siguro wag na sila mag-participate. Para po sa ganon may maging credible naman itong ating. We know for a fact that several representatives are also officers or maybe their relatives, immediate relatives are contractors. Saka siguro po, pwede natin pakiusapan na huwag na sila mag-participate yung mga may interest sa government contracts para sa maging credible naman po itong ating proceedings.
We, Congressman Diokno, can we restate the motion that you have been mentioning?
The motion, Mr. Chair, for all the members of the three committees to make a full disclosure of their financial, business, and pecuniary interests that may be directly or indirectly affected by any investigation into the government's past or present flood control project.
This has been seconded.
Second, Mr. Chair. Second here, Mr. Chair. May I explain my my second to the motion of Honorable Diokno?
Just a short explanation, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. As a member of the majority, Chair, in the interest of upholding the integrity of our proceedings, I respectfully seconded the motion of Honorable Shell Diokno that any member who may have a direct or indirect interest in the subject matter should inhibit themselves from participating in this deliberation.
Mr. Chairman,
This is not, excuse me po.
sir, last point lang. I suggest that since we are now entertaining a motion, the Honorable Diokno first withdraw his point of order para ma-entertain natin yung motion. Just
Yes,
to interject, sir.
Thank you, Mr.
Patuloy po kayo. Pero yung sa akin, suggestion ko, the Honorable Diokno will withdraw his point of order para diretso tayo sa motion. If mag-agree ang chair.
May I finish my, this is not to cast doubt on anyone's integrity, but rather protect the impartiality of the committee and avoid perception of bias. Our duty is to ensure that the decisions are made solely on the merits of the issues before us, free from any conflict of interest. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Congressman. Can you restate the point of order, please? I think it has been transformed into a motion.
Mr. Chair, very quick interjection, Mr. Chair. I believe earlier it was a point of order, but later on, the Honorable Shell Diokno amended it as a motion that all those with conflict of interest or possible involvement in these flood control projects inhibit themselves from the investigation. It was duly seconded by the Honorable Laila de Lima and the Honorable Santos. Maybe, Mr. Chair, may we get your ruling on the motion?
A point of clarification, Mr. Chair. The motion pertains to making a full disclosure of such business, financial, or pecuniary interest. It does not yet state about inhibition. If after such disclosures are made, then perhaps we can speak about.
Yes, the motion is relating to the disclosure of members.
Yes, Your
On whether or not there exists a conflict of interest. It has been seconded. Are there objections to the motion? There is no objection. So the motion is carried.
Mr. Chair, just a clarification, having ruled on the motion already,
Congressman,
that a full disclosure will be obtained from each and every member. How do we go about it? Should it be a written disclosure? Just to be clear about it, there is a motion, duly approved, carried. Now, how do we implement that?
Mr. Chair, I move to adjourn. To proceed, we'll have to get all closure of. And we cannot do
Yeah.
that today.
session suspended.